beside my career and computers, I'm also a sport and adrenaline junkie. So when you automate processes, there are three challenges. There is let's say the discovery, what processes I'm going to automate. Then there is the implementation itself, right? What kind of platform do I use? What kind of approach? Do I hire people? Is it external development? And the third challenge is, now I have my automated processes in production. How do I ensure that they keep running?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, The Edge of Transformation, where we sit down with leaders in the digital transformation, intelligent automation, and AI space and have discussions about the journeys, lessons learned, and plans for the movers and shakers shaping the industry's future. Today, I'm joined by Ivo Knejp, Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of Pointee. I hope you enjoy. It's a good one. So, okay, good. So I guess to start off with the first question, and probably the most important that a lot of people will want to know, tell me a bit about yourself. Tell me a bit about, who you are, a bit about your background, and just, a kind of high level overview about yourself, if you want to kick that off.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Ivo, founder at Pointee. I come from Czech Republic, and in the past I actually lived abroad in France and got this European experience. I have many friends from abroad, so that's how I like it. We have expat community here in Czech Republic, in Prague, and so on. So that's really great. And my background is computer science. So I started to study and actually I started to play and program very early on in my life, and it was a passion always for me. And and just smoothly I transitioned into computer science degree. I studied abroad, and I was always very curious and passionate about technology and innovations.
Yeah.
So this was like the early days. Beside my career and computers, I'm also a sport and adrenaline junkie. So I really to fill my time with whatever I think of.
What
Going
sort of
biking
sports?
or running.
Biking.
Yeah, or ice hockey. I used to play ice hockey actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then we've actually got something in common because I used to play as well.
Oh, nice. Yes, we see, and it was really like great because you were part of a team, so you get the feeling like you need to work for the others, and the others work for you, and you are all in one game together, right? And this is something that I take from that, and now I use it in our company, but. Yeah, other than that, I also like extreme sports and doing crazy stuff that most people wouldn't try probably. But
what sort of crazy adrenaline sports do you typically do, or what's the craziest one that you've probably tried?
Well, I mean, paragliding is like pretty.
Oh wow.
Pretty unusual, I would say, thing to do. But rock climbing and all the others, so it's like downhill skiing or whatever. But at some like behind the standard speed or whatever. So yeah, this is what I need in my life.
Yeah.
Now I dialed it back a little bit because obviously when you have a family, you need to think about them as well.
Yeah.
Not to just do all the time crazy stuff that are maybe too dangerous. But yeah, going back to maybe business and this computer science thing. So yeah, then I started as a software engineer. Was working on a autonomous parking systems. So first at school I was actually playing with small mobile robots, and then work, I changed the robots for cars, and we played actually in the same way with cars, like making them go somewhere, and so on. So that was fun. But I could feel that, this big corporate world is not for me, and I want to, try to be independent and build something on my own. With a couple of my friends, we started to do custom software, and eventually transitioned into, let's say, product startup, building a platform for B2B. Very interesting stuff. And yeah, so this is pretty much it. The startup is now my like artificial kid, besides my real one, right? And that we have.
Oh, good. Well, that's a good background and good sort of overview for everyone sort of listening as well. A little bit about extreme sports, a bit about, your work life, that sort of thing as well. So no, really interesting. So I think in terms of your journey with and you sort of touched on it a little bit around, the you kind of the cars and everything that you kind of got into initially. What would you say your journey has been with digital transformation, intelligent automation, AI? Where did that start? Did that start when you were studying computer science, or did that start after? And what did that what's that journey look like for you to get to where you are now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think this passion about like technologies, it led me into computer science, and automation and digital transformation is actually one of the products when you apply technology into a business, right? So you help business be more efficient. You apply technologies to maybe automate some processes or streamline them, and you use data to take better decisions. So this is also something that was always inside me, like looking at processes and work that I did. I was always asking myself, okay, how can I make it more efficient, or how can I avoid doing this manually? And I always, being a computer science guy, I always try to automate stuff and build scripts. So I actually have to do less work, right? And this was always somehow in me, and this is actually what we have in common with my co-founders, and that's what drives us, like having data and doing data-driven decisions. I see as one of very important part of any business and management, let's say, and any business strategy. And automating processes, is also something that is there. And first solutions that we delivered, when I said that we made custom software, were actually end-to-end automations of large processes that helped to improve significantly, the throughput and the quality, and reduce the mistakes done by human. So we are always working in this field, and it was always there for us. And now I'm just very happy that more and more businesses are thinking about it and implementing. Obviously, digital transformation has been around for a while now, but it's not going anywhere. There is still a strong need. There are new technologies, so companies will keep innovating and transforming manner.
I think companies, from the companies that we speak to, there is compared to sort of 7-8 years ago, companies are much more open to embracing it now. I think before there was probably a bit of a question mark around what really is this, does it actually have a benefit? And I think now that companies are starting to embrace it, they can really see that there's a good ROI out the back, and it actually can either save them money, streamline their processes, or just help make that company more efficient. So no, that's interesting, especially the fact that you went down the kind of custom software route. And obviously, I'm guessing, did you come up against, when you were doing that, did you come up against any of the sort of bigger players when you were kind of doing that, or were they not really sort of around at the time?
So it was I think we had all kind of customers, like big organizations, large vehicle manufacturer, or so we did see those projects being deployed in an environment where you have already hundreds of different systems, and very often they struggled with the availability of data, because you need to take data from so many different sources, put them together, and have some consistent way how to actually see the truth, the reality, and so we help them significantly to improve some of the processes in that environment. And then also we saw small businesses, only let's say hundreds of employees, and they had slightly different challenge, because they were at the beginning of the journey, not so many systems, but still lacking the data. So in the end of the day, it's all about the data that you have available, and that helps you to either automate or make decisions. So we had seen it all.
Did you find that with the, just on this point before we sort of move on to the next one, did you find that with the smaller organizations, was it easier to help them kind of go through that kind of digital transformation sort of automation process compared to the larger businesses? Because naturally, I know the larger businesses have a lot more data to use, but they also have a lot more systems, and their businesses are perhaps maybe a little bit more complex. So were the smaller organizations easier to sort of handle, or were they a bit trickier? I don't know what you sort of found.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's easier, because usually you have all the stakeholders on the same page, where in large organizations we have seen silos and black boxes in the process. And when you talk to a process owner in a small business, he knows it by heart. He knows all the exceptions, all the cases that goes to the left and to the right. So it's much easier to implement anything, because you get a better picture, and you talk to people who actually live the process, right? Where in large organization, very often it's disconnected, and that's how it is. But at the same time, large organizations, they actually already have initiatives. They have their own experts to support you. So maybe the environment, when it's done right, and there is a priority in large organization, it's prepared for digital transformation much more than smaller business that is just starting out, right? And especially if it's like one-man show, like one CEO just pushing everything, it might be hard actually to get something done. But I think from like readiness point of view, or availability of data and information in general, it's better to work with small business, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. So I'm sure everyone really wants to know, because I know you touched on sort of what you were doing right now earlier. What are you sort of really focused on right now? Let everyone know kind of what you're up to, and what you're what you're sort of doing currently.
So on our journey, and helping customers to automate processes and to understand what's happening in their business, we have came to this intelligent automation field, right? And we have been implementing custom solutions for intelligent automation, but found out that there are platforms used at scale in many, for example, banks around the world, like UiPath or Blue Prism, that enable businesses to automate all sorts of processes, and they are super successful with that. But there are some secondary pains they were not taking into consideration, right? Because when you automate processes, there are three challenges. There is, let's say, the discovery, what processes I'm going to automate. Then there is the implementation itself, right? What kind of platform do I use? What kind of approach? Do I hire people? Is it external development? And the third challenge is, now I have my automated processes in production. How do I ensure that they keep running? And this is what we saw, and this is the niche problem that we want to solve for our customers. We help organizations to be successful at scale, right? And also scale right the intelligent automation.
Yeah,
it's all about understanding like what processes we automated, how they are doing, and making sure that they will do the job you expect them to do.
Okay.
And maybe a second thing is we are, as I said, in nature, we just love automation. It's something that is very important to us, like doing things right. And
Yeah.
there is a paradox that once you automate, you have robots doing the job for you, and they remove the mundane work, like the manual repetitive work, right, for you. But suddenly you need to employ new people to take care of those robots. So you actually create manual work around automated work. And we don't think that this is something that should happen, right?
No.
So we build a platform that actually eradicates manual work around the robots, right? And that's pretty much our mission to make automation, stand alone and not dependent on humans again. Right?
Yeah, because I've heard that quite a lot, especially for some of the businesses that we've worked with and sort of spoken to. They've done some amazing things with automation, and then once they start doing that scale and they really start, growing that initiative across the business,
Yeah.
it gets to a point where they want to make sure that everything's sort of working. And then from the people that I've spoken to, they found that, oh no, we need someone monitoring this all the time just to make sure it's working well, to make sure it's still standing up, and make sure that nothing's going wrong. And like you say, before you know it, you've then got the people monitoring the automation, and it's just sort of counterproductive to what they originally set out to do if they take a step back and look at it. So something like that is probably quite valuable for organizations. So I guess with that, are you, in terms of your customers, are most of your customers quite large enterprises then? Because I think the businesses that we've spoken to, the big enterprises of the world are the ones that were the first to invest in, sort of automation technology. So naturally, they're the ones that are slightly further along with their program. So is that what you sort of, are those the types of companies that you typically work with then?
Yeah, exactly. So you have some early adapters for each technology, right? And especially enterprises in banking and telco, they were the early adapters for RPA and intelligent automation. So those are also our clients, or at least like most of them, because they have automation at scale, and they actually can benefit the most from our solution. We are now taking actually our platform to the next level, which will open door also to smaller accounts and let's say enterprises or businesses with much smaller scale. Because what we see now is when you start right, you can actually avoid all the hustle and you can avoid or mitigate the maintenance trap that comes if you don't govern your processes right from the very beginning, right? So we actually want to help educate also small businesses to do things right, so they have less manual work around the robots once they scale, right?
Sure. So coming in at actually at an earlier stage before it becomes a problem, when they've got all these people kind of maintaining whatever's going on, coming in early, helping them. So does your platform help them from the start, or is it more just around consultancy and sort of advisory that you provide initially, and then you kind of continue that relationship on? How does that typically work?
It's a long-term relationship where
Sure.
If you are already at scale, usually the thing you need the most is getting some transparency over the portfolio, getting right the priorities. You need to know what to focus on now, because as you mentioned, right, you have a team and you started to automate. Everyone was so excited, so you were adding X processes per month. Business was really excited, but then you ran into this second phase where you need to maintain more and more, and you have less and less time on the maintenance and delivery of new processes. So business starts to ask questions, right? So at this moment, we actually can offer a solution that helps you to understand, okay, this is the whole picture, and here we need to focus, so we get back on track and we can just keep doing new automations or whatever. But we have a new business. it's usually you are still in this hype, you still everything is great, and you are creating maybe a technical debt that you are
Yeah.
not aware of. And that's what we help to understand companies and people. We
Right.
help them to understand that there are some things that might come back later, and it's better to be aware and maybe do it right from the very beginning, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess anyone who's kind of scaled their automation program will probably agree, it's better to have that foresight and planning
Yeah,
for when they get to that stage. Because I think it's probably when, like you say, when people start out on their automation journey, it's something they don't really consider. They're too focused in, right, what we're going to automate, what areas of the business are we going to look
yeah,
at, let's build, let's get our use cases together, let's have these conversations internally. And then before they know it, they've kind of scaled and then they're like, oh no, we've got this problem.
exactly. At the same time, I think this awareness about this like issues and it's actually now there much more than it used to be, because you have the generation of RPA developers and people working with intelligent automation that already have their own journey, right? They went through the whole journey in one
Yeah.
organization from the very beginning to scale, and then maybe they jump to the other enterprise and started a new automation journey there. They delivered the first robots, they scaled, and they knew already what can come. So I
Yeah.
think the people and automation professionals are actually getting really great at this scaling
Yeah.
and doing things right, but still very often they are lacking the right tools, and that's Pointee. That's why Pointee is there, to
Yeah.
support their journey.
Oh, good, good. Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, thank you for that. It was really, really interesting. And I always like to, talk about, those types of, because scaling has been a big topic for a number of years, and it only seems, over the past couple of years that companies have truly started to scale. Because I know there was a bit of a scale barrier initially. That was the big talking point a few years ago, but clearly now a lot of businesses are past that and they're really, driving their initiatives, but still coming up against these sort of issues. So it's good to know that companies like Pointee are there to exist to help them move past that. Cool. Okay, good. So next up, I like these two questions, and I think a lot of our listeners quite like it as well in terms of successes and failures sort of in your career. So we'll start off with the bad, and then we'll finish with the we'll finish with the good. So, and this could be anything, it can be in sort of career, it could be maybe sort of personal life. I know people like to hear about these types of things and how you overcame it, and the adversities that people face. But what would you say your biggest failure has been, and what did you learn from it? I mean, it could be your extreme sports, or it could be something else. But yeah, yeah. If you had to pick one of your kind of biggest failures, what
All
was it,
right.
and how did you sort of learn from it?
I must say, like, I was lucky enough till today, and I hope it will stay that way. That I haven't been through any sports accidents or whatever, so there
Well,
was
that's
not
positive.
many failures. Yeah, so that's really great. And definitely when you ask about the failures, like first thing that pops on my mind is like being a first time startup founder. It's an adventure, right? And the fact that I'm like computer science guy doing a business, starting my own company or starting our company with my co-founders, it leads you to all sorts of situations, right? And it's almost like Mark Zuckerberg said, like move fast and break things. So it's like we are moving fast and doing a lot of like small failures, right, on the way.
Yeah.
Where I think, for example, I'm responsible for sales, right, and I'm learning sales the hard way, I would say. So meaning, I remember like 4 or 5 years ago, we are doing even when we are selling this custom software, we were always talking about us, never asking a question about the needs or pains of the
Yeah.
customer. We went on a meeting, showed them our solution, and we were so excited after the meeting. Like, oh, it went great, man. They loved our solution. They are totally buying it. I'm expecting the call tomorrow, and then being surprised, like, hey, so where's the call? I mean,
Yeah.
They are ghosting us for weeks now, and no deal. So, those kind of failures, I mean, on the way are the ones that you collect, and I think it's very important actually to learn from them and never repeat them. Now I think we are much more experienced with the sales and how to actually talk to customers, not not to talk about the product, but about So this is like all kind of missteps or things that we have done in the past, and we are still doing them, and we will keep doing them because that's how we learn, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important, like learn from them. Now, for example, it's not about talking about the pains. Now it's the customer success, right? How to demonstrate the value, right, and ensure that the customer actually gets the ROI, and so that's kind of the world we are living in. And we try to actually be fast and we break things on
You're trying to break stuff. Yeah. And I mean, that resonates with me as well. Obviously, starting edge tech, as a growing business and a business owner, you face so many failures and challenges and so many learning opportunities. And I think it's from those failures, it is how you recognize sort of what happened and how you look back at it and actually make sure that you avoid doing that or perhaps do it differently moving forward. We like to call it character building. It just it definitely builds our character when when you get knocked down or you have those failures. But like you say, it's part of the journey. And for someone like yourself, like you say, coming from a computer science background now, running the business and being much more in a kind of commercial role, it's and no one really goes to like university or anything to kind of study sales, so it's something that a lot of people end up falling into, and I do believe that people can learn and pick up that sales almost kind of ability in a way. There are people that are naturally more inclined to to being a salesperson, but I don't think that there's someone out there that can't do it whatsoever. I think everyone's able to do it. And I think, we as humans, even outside of business, without even knowing it, sales is such a big part of our lives without even realizing it. The kind of negotiations and the conversations that you have, the reasoning, even with family members and like your siblings or your parents, just having those types of negotiations, before you know it, it is a type of sales. And a lot of people don't sort of read into it until you're in that position and you kind of think about the scenarios that you're in, how you have those conversations, the outcomes and that sort of thing. So no, it's really interesting to to learn about what that sort of failure looks like for you. And I guess onto the good part now, in terms of successes. What would you say your your biggest success is to date, and how did you go about achieving that?
I mean, having an amazing family, right? It's the biggest success, and we should not forget about like work-life balance.
Yeah.
Which is super important. So this is definitely like one thing I value the most. But from business point of view, Pointee is something that I'm very proud of, especially because we were able, with my co-founders, to build an amazing team, and I think this is the hardest thing to achieve, because you can have a brilliant idea and build a great product, but you need people to do that, right? You cannot build great product on your own. I mean, you can, but that would be a tiny one. But if you think big, if you want to go worldwide, you need great people on your team, and I think we are able to achieve that. So this is definitely one of the best things we have done so far, and we are very proud of our team. And closing the first deals, I can always see it when I think about it. It's like there's a feeling that you actually built something, and I must say it happened to us. We were visiting one of our customers, and unexpectedly we walked into the office. I could see people using our software, and that was the moment when I knew, like, oh my God, so we actually did something that matters. There are people using it right now.
Yeah.
So this was feeling really good, and I think that's the success of the whole team. It's not only about me, but
yeah,
this is like the thing that we value the most.
Yeah, and I bet there's nothing better. And once you've all that hard work leading up to that, and when you start seeing a customer using your software, then
Exactly.
I guess it just reinforces the fact that you know what you're doing, you've got a great product, and I guess it just backs up everything that you've all of the things that you've put in place until that point to help you believe in yourself, to then say, look, we can absolutely do this moving forward. I know what that's like. We went through a very similar sort of thing when we started the business as well. Very sort of different, because obviously we're in recruitment, but that lead up to it, all that hard work, I know, like you say, some of the failures that you've probably gone through and the knockbacks, but getting to that point, it makes it a lot of the time even sweeter as well. So and you mentioned about family, and a lot of people have the people that I've spoken to on this podcast have kind of said the same thing. But I think what I'm sort of seeing in common with a lot of people that I speak to is, the business achievements are great, but if you have that kind of support network around you, family or friends or anything, that has a big impact on your work and what you do as well. And then basically that kind of combination is what seems like a pretty good recipe for success. If you have people that believe in you, you believe in yourself, you can achieve what you set out to do, as long as you work hard. So and move fast and break things, I think.
Exactly. I mean, I'm like a people-driven person, so it's very important for me, like my colleagues and my friends, my family, and without them, it wouldn't be, a success. Without them, it wouldn't be, this amazing journey. So it really gives the purpose, in place for me.
Definitely. Well, you're going to have to share this podcast with them to to let them know that you can that they're there, and I'm sure they'll like to hear that. But thank you. That sort of rounds up all of our questions. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. I know a lot of our listeners will be really keen to to hear this and to watch this as well. What I'll do is I'll include in the show notes, I'll include your all of your contact details, so people know where to find you. We'll have everything on there. So obviously, if they want to reach out to speak to you about your extreme sports or Pointee as well, then they'll know where to get in touch. Anything else that that they need, they can obviously reach out to you. And I hope that they enjoyed it.
Thank you, Harrison. It was a pleasure, and I totally encourage everyone, if you're interested in paragliding or Pointee, regardless, I'm here. So just drop me a message on LinkedIn or whatever.
Perfect. I'll put your LinkedIn down as well as your contact details, and hopefully everyone can get in touch. Thank you very much again, Ivo. It's been great speaking to you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Cheers.